everyone, and welcome to another green marble crochet tutorial. For this tutorial I'm just going to be showing you how to make these super cozy, super long slip socks that I came up with recently. Yes, I love them. There's not a lot to say. They're very easy to make in my opinion. Anybody can make these. So yeah, something lovely that everybody can have a go at for the coming colder times, which have already begun here in the south of Spain very suddenly. So yes, that's happening. There's not much I need to say. We can really just get straight into making it. I would like to mention though that, so I used 2 skeins per sock for these particular ones. I am looking at doing very colourful ones actually. Yeah, so I'm making these as well, but it's a slightly different design in stitch count wise. I'm increasing at different points. Well, I started increasing at a different point for the sock. But yeah, I'm making these, and these are extremely long. So yeah, more like stocking socks type things. So yeah, lovely. We're doing that. No, I don't think there's anything else I need to mention. We can definitely just get straight into making them. However, if you haven't subscribed but you would like to subscribe to join me for some more tutorials, I would love to have you join me. A big thank you to my patrons. Thank you for your support. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. If you need to get in contact with me very quickly for anything, look for me on Instagram. I'm the_green_marble. You'll be able to find me there very quickly for whatever you need help with. Yeah, that's it. That's all I need to say. We can definitely just get straight into making these. Alright, now then, to begin, we're going to have a quick look at the tiny details on the label of the yarn that we're using. So, this is what we're working with. And if you need more time to have a look at anything, just pause the video. Also, I just want to mention quickly that if at any point during the tutorial you feel like I'm going too fast for you, there's a feature on YouTube where you can actually slow down the speed of the video. So I just suggest doing that so that you can keep up at your own pace. Alright, so here are the tiny relevant details. And here it's saying that I should be using a 3 to a 4mm hook, which is good because I'm using my 3.5. Yes. Alright, so we're doing that. We're using this lovely soft autumny light brown colour. Alright, so we're just going to get straight into it. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the end of our yarn, wherever that is. Oh, it's there. Yes. Alright, so we're finding the end of our yarn, and what we're going to do is I'm going to focus the camera. We're going to start by making a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, what you do is you take the end of the yarn between the thumb and the index finger of your right hand, so just like this. And with the index finger and the middle finger of your left hand, you're going to wind the working end around like so. Grab hold of that working end and pull the loop through. But we don't actually have to make the tail end of this slip knot very long, because we can crochet that in as we go along. So there we go. And now that we've got our slip knot, what we're going to do is we're going to insert our hook through the knot just like that, and then pull the working end tight. So we've adjusted the knot to our hook. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 4. So to make a chain stitch, it is yarn over, pull through, so that's 1 chain, yarn over, pull through, that's 2 chains, yarn over, pull through, 3, yarn over, pull through, and that's 4 chains. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the very first chain at the beginning there. So to slip stitch, you find the top part of that chain just there. You're going to go into that top part like this. You're going to yarn over, pull through a loop, and then pull that loop through the last chain. There we go. And now you've got yourself a little chain circle. And if you pull that chain circle apart, you can see there's a center just there. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working double crochets into the center of this chain circle. So to do that, what we've got to do first is we've got to chain up 2. So we're going to chain from that chain circle, 1, 2, just like this. And then we're going to be putting in our double crochets. So to make a double crochet, what you do is you yarn over, let's pull that chain circle apart again. So find the center just there. You're going to go into the center of that chain circle, just like this. You're going to yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, cat fur, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 1 double crochet. We'll do another one together. So it is yarn over, going to the center again, just there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we're doing 10 of those into that center of that chain circle. Once we've done our 10, we're going to meet back up and talk about what we're doing next. Alrighty, and here we are with those 10 double crochets into the center of that chain circle. So that's what that looks like. Now, what we've got to do is we've got to find that chain of 2 from the beginning just there. And what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the stitch at the top of that chain of 2. So to do that, you insert your hook into that stitch at the top just there, yarn over, pull through, and then pull that loop through that last stitch. So now you've closed that round. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain up 2, so 1, 2, and for round 2 what we're going to do is we're going to turn the work like this, and we're going to be putting 2 stitches into every stitch around, so we'll be increasing by 10 stitches, so by the end of this round we're going to have a stitch count of 20. Also, don't put your first stitch into that stitch right there beneath the chain of 2, so don't go into that one just there, we're going to go into the next one along, because your last stitch is going to be that final one at the end, just there. So going into the first stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets into the same stitch, so 1 and 2, then moving to the next stitch, it's going to be 3 and 4. So yes, just count as you go along to make sure you've got the right amount of stitches, but by the end you will have 20. So I'll meet you at the end when you have your 20 stitches, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, see you soon. Alright, now here I am putting my 20th stitch into that final stitch, right next to the 19th, into the same stitch. And what we're going to do now is, just the same as round 1, we're going to slip stitch into the stitch at the top of that chain of 2. But the chain's going to look a little bit different because you had to turn the work, so it's going to look slightly twisted. So the stitch you're going into is that one just there. So you're just going to slip stitch into that stitch to close the round. And there we go. So now moving on to round 3, we're going to chain up 2 again. So 1 and 2. Again, we're turning the work. So I'm going to be turning the work back and forth as we go along, just because I like to do that. It helps keep the seam from drifting to the side, and just, I don't know, I just like the look. Alright, so what we're going to do now is, for the increases for this round, it's going to be 2 stitches into every first stitch, and 1 stitch into every second. So we'll do it together just a little bit to begin with. So, again, not going into that stitch directly beneath that chain of 2, you're going into the next one along, because the last one's going to be that stitch just there. So 2 stitches into the first stitch, 1 and 2, then into the next stitch you've just got 1, and now moving on to the next stitch along, it's going to be 2 into the same stitch, so 1, 2, then 1 stitch into the stitch after that. So you're just going to repeat that pattern. That's the process you'll be doing to the end of the round, so that by the end of this round you've once again increased by 10, so you'll end up with 30 stitches. So I'll meet you at the end of this round when you have 30 stitches, and we'll meet back up and we'll talk about moving on to round 4. Alright, so here we are at the end of round 3, so I have 30 stitches, and that's what this should be starting to look like. So once again we're going to find that stitch at the top of that chain 2 from the beginning. We're going to slip stitch into that to close the round. Alright, so I've finished increasing. Now from here on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, what have we got, round 4? Hang on a second. Okay, yes. So for round 4 to round 18, I'm just going to be doing straight rounds with no increase. So it's just going to be chaining up 2, turning the work, double crochets all the way around, remember, not into that first one, just there beneath the chain of 2, because that's going to be your last stitch. You're just going to be putting 1 double crochet into each stitch around. Yes. And just like that. So that's just to grow the length of the foot till we get to the point when we need to put in the heel section and leave a gap for the ankle. So that's what we're doing. Alright, so that's rounds 4 through to 18. Once you get to the end of the round, obviously you're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 from the beginning, chain up 2, turn the work, double crochets back in the other direction. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to meet you at the end of round 18 once we finish that. We're going to talk properly. We're going to talk about creating the ankle hole and the ankle, the heel section. Yeah, we're going to do that. Alright, I'll see you soon. Alright, so I've done up to round 18. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get working on the ankle and the heel section. So to do that, we're going to chain up 2. So 1, 2. We're going to turn and we're going to work, not doing into that stitch, obviously, right beneath the chain of 2. Into the next one along, we're going to do 21 double crochets across. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, so here I am with those 21 double crochets across. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be increasing the stitch count, well, this particular stitch count, to 25 over the next 2 rows. So to do that, what we're going to do straight from this 21st stitch is we're going to chain up 1. So we're only chaining up 1, we're turning the work, and into that first stitch right there, just beneath that chain of 1, you're going to put a double crochet, so yarn over, go into that first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So into the next stitch along, the second stitch, we're going to put 1 double crochet, and then another double crochet into that same stitch. So you've got 2 double crochets into the second stitch. Now we're going to put in a double crochet into every stitch all the way up until the second last stitch. So that's the 20th stitch along. We're not going to count these 2 that we've done into the second stitch. So just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll meet you at the 20th, which is the second last stitch. Okay, so I've reached the second last stitch, and into that stitch I'm going to put 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So 1 and 2. And then I've got that last little stitch just there at the end, so just make sure you always go into that one. Just count as you go across to make sure you've got the right amount of stitches. So I've got 1 more stitch into that last stitch at the end just there. So there we go. Now we've got a stitch count of 23. And what we're going to do, once again, is we're going to chain up 1 and turn, and again we're putting 1 double crochet into that stitch right beneath that chain of 1, so there's 1 double crochet. Then into the second one we've got 2 double crochets into the same stitch, so 1 and 2. So now what you're going to do is you're going to put in your double crochets across up until the 22nd stitch, so that second last stitch again. Alright, and here we are at that 22nd stitch, so the second last stitch along, and we're going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch, 1 and 2. Then just 1 double crochet into that very last stitch at the end just there. So putting in that last double crochet of the row, that last one just there. Alright, so now we have a stitch count of 25. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to chain up 1. So there's 1. We're going to turn. Now the next row is just going to be a straight row of no increases. So going straight into that first stitch just there. And you're going to put those 25 double crochets across with no increase. So I'll meet you at the end of this row and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alright, so here we are. Now, for the next 2 rows, we're going to be creating the curve of the heel. So to do that, we're going to be decreasing by 3, well, we're going to be double crocheting 3 stitches together in the middle of each row. So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain up 1 and turn. We're going to put 11 double crochets across. So we've got that first one just there. Hang on, whoops. We've got that first one just there. So that's 1 and 2, so 11 across. Alright, so here I am with those 11 across. Now, for the next 3 stitches, like I said, we're going to be double crocheting those together. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, but leave those 2 loops on the hook. So now what you're going to do is yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you're going to leave those 3 loops on the hook and you're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you've got 4 loops on the hook and you're going to yarn over, pull through all those 4 loops together at the same time. So that's how you double crochet 3 double crochets together. So now what you've got is 3, no, you haven't, you've got 11 double crochets left to go to the end of the row. And once you've done that, we're going to meet back up and we're going to talk about how to do the next row, which is going to be the final row of the heel. Alright, see you in a moment. Okay, and here we are at the end of the row. So once again, we're going to chain up 1 and turn. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put 10 double crochets along till we get to the middle. So there's that first one, 1 and 2, so 10 double crochets across. And here we are with those 10. So now once again we're going to double crochet 3 stitches together. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, leave those loops on the hook, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, leave those 3 stitches on the hook, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, now yarn over and pull through all those 4 loops on the hook. So there we go. Now you're going to have 10 stitches remaining till the end of the row. We're going to meet back up at the end of the row. We're going to talk about how we're going to join the heel. Alright, now here I am at the end of the row. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to be joining the heel. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're not going to chain up 1. Just straight from this last stitch, you're going to turn the work like this. And we're going to be working 9 slip stitches back along these stitches here. So skipping that first stitch that's right there beneath the loop that you've got on your hook, so that very first stitch, you're going to skip that one, and you're going to work 9 slip stitches along. So we'll do it together because I've got to explain, you need to keep these slip stitches fairly loose. So for a slip, hang on. Okay, so we're going to do, let's do it again. Skipping that first stitch right beneath there, going to the next one, so yarn over and slip stitch. And then into the next, so that's 1, and then you've got 2 and 3, so you're working your way across. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you've worked 9 slip stitches across. Now, straight from that 9th slip stitch that you've done, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the next stitch. So you see that next one just there that's holding those 3 stitches. So that stitch there, you're going to go in, you're going to pull up a loop. Just leave that loop there like that though. You're going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. So that's going to count as your first joining stitch. So what you're going to do now is you're going to sort of pull that stitch a bit loose. You're going to take your hook out of that stitch, hold it to the side like this. Then, skipping that first stitch just there, what you're going to do is you're going to insert your hook into the next one along. So you see you've got that one just there, go into this one just here, you're going to put your hook through there, you're going to readjust that stitch that you took off the hook, so that loop, and you're going to pull it through that second slip stitch along that you've got your hook through just there. So you're pulling it through there, pull tight. Then what you're going to do with that one is you're going to go into the next stitch along on the left hand side, and that's going to be joining stitch number 2. You're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, single crochet. So it's really just a single crochet join all the way along these. So by the end of it you'll have 10. So that first one you did where you pulled up a loop through 2 stitches, that's going to be the first one. This one's the second one. So now what you're going to do is you're going to once again drop that loop that you've got on your hook, push it aside, go into the next slip stitch along just there. You're going to insert your hook. So this one's going to be number 3. So going into this, but you can see why you would have to keep these slip stitches loose, because if you don't, they're actually quite tight to get into. So you've picked up that loop and you've pulled it through that slip stitch, you're pulling it tight. Then you're going to move to the next stitch along on the left and single crochet. So going into that one, pull up a loop, yarn over, single crochet. Once again, we'll do it again once again. So that was 3. So this one is going to be 4. You're going into that next slip stitch along and just there, readjust that stitch that you dropped, pull it through that slip. And this one's a little bit tight. So that's a good example of, oh, it's not too bad. There you go. So you're pulling it through there, pull that tight. What did I say? This one was 4. So there you go, and you've got that. So you're counting that until you've done 10. And I'll meet you once you get to the 10th. So you see just there, that'll be your last one just there. And then on the end, it'll be the last stitch at the end of the row, just there. That one. So that was 4. Okay, we'll get to the end of it. We'll meet back up and we'll talk about how we're going to do the leg. Alright, see you soon. Alright, so here I am, and I've joined all of those stitches together, well, those sides together. So it was 10 single crochet joins. So now what we're going to do is, straight from that last join, you can just move straight onto the ankle. And what you're going to do is you're going to chain up 2. So 1, 2, and straight beneath where you did that last, well, straight into that last stitch just there. So the last single crochet join you just did, you're going to put a double crochet into that. So yarn over, go straight in there beneath that chain of 2. So you're going to do a double crochet there. So that's 1. And what we're going to do is we're turning to the side just here. You're working 2 double crochets into each double crochet row end, but that's not including this stitch that you've already done just here. So that's just that one just there. So there's going to be 14 on each side, but because we did 6 rows independently of the rest of the foot, there's going to be 12 double crochets across here, but we're going to put an extra one into that stitch just there that's holding the stitch of the first row. So I'll show you what we're doing. Into the row end, what I mean is, so here you've got that first double crochet row end just there. You'll see that there's 2 parts that you can work into. So you've got one just there, hang on, just there. There's that first part of that first row end, so that's 1 double crochet. Then moving on to the second part, you'll see it's just there. So you're going to go into the second part. You'll be able to see fairly easily where you need to put your stitches. It's not too difficult. So moving on to the next row end, it's going to look a little bit different because we've alternated from turning back and forth, so the row ends are going to look kind of different. So where are we? We've got part 1 of that row end, so just there, that's 1, and then you've got the second part just there, so that's 2. So there's going to be 12 into each of those 12 along this side. But once we've done all of the double crochet, it's going to be 14 because we're putting that extra one into that stitch. Alright, so I'll let you put your double crochets into the row ends. Where are we? We've got, okay, 1 and 2. Yes, okay, so how many have I got so far? 6. Alright, I'll meet you when you've put in those 12. We'll do the last one together and then we'll work our double crochets across the front. Alright, and here we are, and we've put our 12 double crochets into those row ends, plus that extra one here, so we've got 13 double crochets across. And now to make up that 14, we're just going into that stitch that holds that last stitch just there at the end of the first row of the heel section. So I'm going to put 1 double crochet in there. Now you're going to have 9 stitches across the front to work into, so we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of those 9 stitches across the front. Alright, so here we are with those 9 double crochets across the front. So what we're going to do is, to make up the first stitch that's going into the 14 along the side, this side, is there's that chain of 1, or chain of 2, no, chain of 1, sorry, chain of 1 from the beginning of that first row of the heel section. We're going to work our first double crochet into the stitch at the top of that chain of 1. So you're going to go in there, loop, double crochet, so that's stitch number 1. Now you're going to work your 12 double crochets into these double crochet row ends, so you've got that first part of that first row end, so there's 1, then you've got the second part just there. You can see there's like a little bar just there dividing the 2 parts of that row end. So there's 2, then moving on to the next row end that looks kind of different. You'll have, where are we? Part number 1. There we go, and then you've got part number 2 just there. So there's 4. Now you've just got the same thing moving along. So you'll do 12, we'll do the 13th one together. I'll show you where to put that. No, sorry, 14th, because you've already got that one just there. Alright, so I'll show you how to do the final stitch. We'll do it together, and then we're going to move on and talk about how we're going to do the rest of the leg. Alright, see you soon. Alright, I'm on my 12th double crochet into those row ends, so it'll be the 13th of the side just here. But I just wanted to show you, it might look a little bit tight. So make sure you're going into that second part of that row end. Where am I? There, just there. It might look like, it just might look a little bit tight, that's all. Alright, so there we go, we've done that. Now what we're going to do is you're going to put in your 14th, which is going to be into that little space just there. And just there on the other side of that single crochet join at the top right there. So you're going to go into that space, double crochet. There we go, so we've done 14 along that side. So all up you're going to have a stitch count now of 37. Yes. So that's what we're working with to begin with, before we start increases for the calf section of your leg. So you're going to slip stitch, join that, just like that, into that chain of 2 from the beginning. Slip stitch, join the round, and then we're going to chain up 2, 1, 2, turn the work, because it keeps the pattern consistent if you do that. I mean, you can just keep going around, but I mean, you know, further to what I said before about keeping the pattern consistent and having the seam not drift to the side. Also, because you're going back and forth for the heel section, so it just keeps everything looking the same. If you chain up 2 and turn, you know, it just keeps the back and forth continuity going throughout the whole thing, which looks good. Alright, so you chained up 2, you've turned. Now you're going to just put your double crochets around in this direction. You've got 37 of them. Once again, you're not working into that stitch directly beneath that chain of 2 just there, because your final stitch will be into the last one just there. So 37 going around. And then once you get to the end of the round, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 from the beginning to close the round. Chain up 2, turn, double crochets back in the other direction. And we're going to be doing this for 10 rounds, including the round we just did of the heel section. So that was round number 1. This is round number 2. We've got 10. I'll meet you once we've done 10. We're going to move on to round 11. We're going to do it together. Alright, see you for round 11. Alright, so here I am with those 10 rounds all the way up here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to begin increases. And the increases are just as simple as you'll be adding 1 extra stitch to a round, then leaving the next round free of increases. So we'll be doing 11. And they're actually going to be specific stitches that you're going to be working into. So we chain up 2, we turn, we're still going to be doing that. Now, for this first increase, it's going to be 2 stitches into the first stitch along. So 1 and 2. And you've just got the round to finish up, and then you're going to close up the round, chain up to turn. Then your next round is just going to be a round without increase. So then after that, so that will be round 12, will be free of increase. Then round 13, you're going to be increasing on the 10th stitch along. So that will be 13. Then round 14 will be free of increase. Then round 15 will be increasing on the 21st stitch. Then round 16 is going to be free of increase. Then round 17. Round 17 will be increasing on the 32nd stitch. And then round 18 will be free of increase. And you're going to continue like that. So that will start again. So we're round 18 will be free of increase. Round 19, you will be increasing on the first stitch again. So you're just rotating the increases on those stitches like that. So 1st, 10th, 21st, 32nd, 1st, 10th, 21st, 32nd. And you're doing that every second round or every first round, however you want to count it. And then the round after that is free of increase. So we're doing that. I am increasing to a stitch count of 50 because I found that's what's best for me. You can increase to whatever you want. You can increase less, you can increase more. But I like that sort of, I like it to be sort of gradual. I mean, you can increase every round if you want and not leave a round free. It's just that I like it to be a little more gradual. Give it that nice sort of streamlined look. So that's what we're doing. Yes, and that's it. I don't really think I need to stick with you for all those rounds. But what I will do is I'll put I'll write something up in the description about how to do the increase rounds, just in case you need to know. You can refer back to that. But it's pretty straightforward, you know. If you feel like you're lost, just count how many rows you've done, really. So every odd row after 10, so 11, is the increase round, and every even row is just the straight round, no increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're doing 11. Yeah, alright, so look, I just don't really think we need to meet back up again until we finish the sock. Once you've finished, you're gonna tie off, which is you just slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 at the beginning of the round. Then you chain 1 and you cut the yarn and you pull that chain through here. We'll do one together. Yeah, so basically all you're doing is you're chaining 1, like so. Then you'll go away, you'll cut the yarn and you'll just pull that chain through to tie off. And that's how you'll be doing that. Then you just weave it through, weave the end through on the inside of the work, using a smaller hook or a darning needle, you know, whatever you have, whatever you need. Alright, yes. I really think now we can just go away, finish up our socks, and later on we're going to meet back up. We're going to try on our socks. We're going to see how they look. I think they're going to look really good. I mean, I know they look really good. They're super cozy and warm. I love this design. It's great. Yeah. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you shortly when we try on our socks. Alrighty, here are the finished socks. So yes, as you can see, not a lot goes into making these. They're very basic, very quick to make, depending on how fast you want to crochet them, of course. But you can really get these done in not too long amount of time. So that's very good. Yes, I won't be taking these off ever for this winter and autumn. I'll just be keeping them on all the time until I make some more, obviously. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you made yourself some lovely socks. And of course, I'll see you next time for whatever we're making next. Yeah. So yeah, contact me if you need help. Look for me on Instagram or leave me a comment. And I'll see you next time.